My name is John.
Good morning, miss.
I'm really glad you took time from your busy schedule to be here this morning.
What happened?
Well, I'm very concerned about Trevor because Trevor is performing terribly and many of the teachers have been complaining. And according to the role that I have here, Trevor has only been here twice for the term and we see this is week 11. So it's obvious why Trevor is not performing.
Hi, good morning, and welcome once again to Education Alive. I have with me this morning sociologist Lynelle Bahadur Maharaj and Keisha Delpesh Brown. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Good morning.
So, we start off this morning with that little clip you just saw, which tells you a hint of what we're going to talk about today. Chronic student absenteeism. Before we go any further, I would like to ask Lynelle to give us a definition or an explanation for what is chronic student absenteeism.
Well, according to researchers, chronic student absenteeism is seen as a student missing 10% of the school year, not being in classes is defined as student absenteeism, and that means chronic student absenteeism. And then it talks about how does that affect student performance in terms of their learning.
Okay, so today we're going to look at chronic student absenteeism and how it affects students' learning. All right, so you want to join in here, Keisha?
Well,
What are some of the causes of student absenteeism?
Well, we can't just look at chronic absenteeism just as itself. As I mentioned, we need to look at the causes. And some of the main underlying causes for this is parental values. So we see the parents, the home rather, is the main source of socialization. And if the students do not have that encouragement or backing from the home or from parents to be encouraged to come to school and learn based on the parents' personal values about education, then we see we have a lot of problems. The students will, of course, be at a disadvantage because they would not be in school to benefit from the material, and even when they are there, they are at a disadvantage because they cannot connect the dots, right? And of course, it will affect their performance academically.
I see.
That is correct. The parents indeed are the driving force. And if they themselves do not value or do not see the purpose of having this child or children getting that formal, that education element by attending, by having regular attendance in school, therefore, the child itself see the parents as role models. So therefore, if I'm not being told you have to go to school, I will not see the reason why I have to go to school. So I choose to stay home.
Right, and I remember when I was in the classroom, a parent telling me the child doesn't feel to come to school, and I was so taken back by that because I know as a student I could not have said I didn't want to come to school. I didn't have a choice.
So it's the value, the parents' value system.
Yes, it comes down to the value system of the parents. Also, community as well plays a major role in this chronic absenteeism that we're speaking about. For example, if the child comes from a community that has a lot of criminal activity and so forth, then the child most likely will be inclined to be part of gangs and all of that. And because the time is taken to be part of those things, students will be in school to benefit from the delivery of the curriculum. And of course, student learning will be affected, and then you'll have chronic absenteeism.
Understood. What do you ladies think about socio-economic factors? How does that affect the issue?
Well, Katian, as Keisha is saying, she's talking about parents, she's talking about the community, and what community involvement has to do with students coming to school. And from an economic aspect, it's stated that a lot of these children, some of them, come from what is known as quote-unquote marginalized homes, where the economic grounding of the family is not, let's say, they are not financially sound, right? And so because of that factor, parents are more concerned with going to work and achieving what is Maslow's theory of needs states, the basic, where it is their to satisfy food, clothing, and shelter. The basic needs, the basic human needs, right? So these children, some of them have stay at home and take care of younger siblings. They fell victims of that. So therefore that leads to being absenteeism as well. Another factor is they themselves have to go into and get jobs that help financially contribute to the household.
Right, so we can clearly see that there are different issues that affect student absenteeism. With the drive that the Ministry of Education has now with HFLE, Health and Family Life Education, I was looking at the health factor as it relates to chronic student absenteeism. And this is really important. This is a matter of global importance actually. So much so that recently, earlier this year, the United Nations had a meeting in Paris, France, and at that meeting, they highlighted the importance of school health. The Assistant Director General for Education, Stefania Giannini, pointed out that healthy and happy learners learn better, while poor health can have a detrimental effect on school attendance and academic performance, which ties in again to what we're talking about. In 2011, the Royal Hospital in Australia conducted, sorry, let me just say that again. The Royal Children's Hospital in Victoria in Australia conducted a study, and they found that hundreds of school days were lost due to chronic student absenteeism annually. 20% of all school-age children in Australia experience chronic illness, with over 5% of them having multiple or severe chronic illnesses.
Wow, that's a figure,
Yeah.
significant,
Yeah.
significant figure.
And if you think that is significant, 58% of those students chronically and routinely miss school. 45% of those students had serious difficulty at school. So again, as we say, chronic absenteeism does have an effect on student learning.
Yes, it has a very negative impact because we see that student attendance is directly linked to their achievement in school and their
That is correct.
successes.
Yes. Any last point you want to put in before we?
Well, yes, as part of the functioner's perspective, even though some of the issues we are talking about where students or lead students to be chronically absent, under the functioner's perspective, they how society is structured as an unit. So if one part of society falls, the other will come up to scratch to fill the gaps. And what I mean is that, okay, we all have this perspective that everybody going to come to school and be doctors and lawyers and all of those nice jobs. But in reality, because of chronic absenteeism, these students would not make the grades to get those types of, to get into those type of professions.
Exactly.
Right? But according to the functionalists, we have need for everybody in society.
That's
So
right.
we still need people to be sanitation engineers, ancillary staff, those type of professions. So everybody kind of wins under the functionalist perspective. Right?
Yeah, there's a place for each
There's a
person
place
in the
in
society.
Yes.
So
Yes.
therefore they lack thereof of not being able to go to school based on different reasons will not hinder them from getting being employed and being a
Exactly.
functional member of society, which
Exactly.
education is supposed to do.
Right.
I want to go back to the family life aspect of it. I recently came across a video by one Giselle Ramoutar. She's an HFLE consultant with the Ministry of Education. And I just wanted to take a quick look at this clip. It is going to show us the importance of family life and how that affects student absenteeism. So let's take a look now.
The role of the family in the success of a student is indelible. For minors, it is ultimately the parent or guardian that is responsible for the child's regularity in school. If the child is chronically absent, delivery of lessons is impeded and overall student learning depletes. Growing proportions of children reside with single parents due to heightened rates of divorce and separation. Cumulative evidence suggests children of single-parent families perform more poorly in standardized tests and are likely to drop out from school as opposed to having both parents, as shown by Astone and McLanahan. Single parents work long hours to make ends meet, and as such, children are unsupervised and may not attend school as instructed. There is also the possibility that there is not enough funds in the household for the child or children to attend school in a regular manner. Astone and McLanahan also found that single parents spend less time in general supervision of the child's schooling and generally has lower educational aspirations and expectations of the child. Therefore, the child has nothing to live up to and has no motivation to learn. Remarriage restores a two-parent family unit, but the step-parent's income is not readily available to the stepchild, Lee 1993, resulting in inevitable absenteeism. Not only does the child share less of the step-parent's income, the natural parent who's not living with the child is less likely to invest in the child's education. Family relationships and structure ultimately hinders or enhances student achievement and learning. And when there is a lack of traditional family units, every effort must be made to provide the child with the support that is needed for successful learning.
Now that was another perspective, another angle from which we can look at chronic student absenteeism and what affects it. We have yet another video. This one looks at the psychological issues that affect student learning and absenteeism. So with that in mind, we go to this clip from Patrice Edwards.
Educational psychologists link student absenteeism to teachers' methods for instruction and motivation. Brooks 2007 defines student absenteeism as a constant, habitual, and unexplained absence from school. However, is it truly unexplained? Globally, theorists agree that teachers in particular must incorporate a wider range of instructional strategies, engaging environments, student praise, positive interactions, and active and supportive instructional roles in their classroom so as to develop positive student attitudes towards learning and increase students' presence in schools. According to officials at the Ministry of Education in Trinidad and Tobago, there are over 500 primary and secondary schools in our country. However, less than 16% of these schools cater to students who are trade-oriented or gifted learners. Meet Tim. Tim is the captain of the Help Me Secondary School's football team. He loves physical education and excels in any classroom or with any teacher who incorporates movement in their instruction or learning through trial and error. However, Tim was not able to choose subjects which panders to his learning abilities for CSEC. Physical education, his favorite subject, was only available with business subjects. Tim therefore either ditches business classes or ditches school altogether. Tim is one of the many students suffering from learner frustration in Trinidad and Tobago, the region, and the wider world. For students like Tim, 16% of schools which cater to multiple intelligencies or gifted students just isn't enough. The problem of student absenteeism is not limited to Trinidad and Tobago's schools. In a recent study done in Jamaica, they identified the root causes of student absenteeism from a student's perspective as low literacy among students, high frustration levels among low achievers, and indiscipline among students. However, the problem of student absenteeism is not just a regional one. All over the world, teachers would like to foster a positive learning experience through the use of multimedia technology or changes in environment. However, due to a lack of resources such as textbooks or in extreme cases, lack of classrooms, teachers continue to struggle to do this. Reporting from BBC, we have Marga Ortigas.
The Philippines spends just 2% of its gross domestic product on education. The World Bank recommended amount is 6%.
There are certain areas where we have been unable to provide enough resources in terms of classroom and some of the basic resources for education, classrooms, textbooks, teachers.
19 million students are enrolled in state-run schools this year, but 42% are expected to drop out before graduation. For now, these pupils are some of the fortunate ones. They have a classroom and even a teacher.
Many classrooms end up empty even on a regular school day. The lack of teachers has meant that when one is absent, there usually isn't a substitute available. Now what that means for the students is they have to either get split up into other classrooms that now become overcrowded, or they just don't bother to come in at all.
Teachers continue to struggle to produce innovative and motivating instruction. Therefore, many argue that educational psychology is just a theory. Reporting from Help Me Secondary School, I am Patrice Edwards.
So, as we wrap up, any last words, Lynelle?
Well, as we have discussed here today, our topic of absenteeism, the chronic absenteeism and how it affects student learning, we can see that evidently it does affect student learning, because now absenteeism, what it does, it interrupts the learning process. It leads to academic failure and eventually dropout from school, which in turn negatively impacts upon students.
Yes. Keisha?
Well, chronic absenteeism is a problem. We have seen it, it's evident. The students cannot excel because they're not there to benefit from any material that will foster learning, basically. However, we need to remember that even though these issues exist, and then the functionalist perspective, everybody kind of wins in society because society eventually sorts itself out.
You really like this functionalist perspective.
Yes, she's pro-functionalist.
Yeah, definitely,
Forgetting the
definitely.
Marxist perspective, right?
So I would like to say that lesson plans are designed so that learning builds in a progressive manner. When a student is not in school, he or she is unable to keep up. They fall behind their classmates, and it is therefore difficult for that child to perform, to excel, at his best, if they are chronically absent. And so we realize that chronic absenteeism, definitely, from all that we have said today, does affect student learning. So this has been Education Alive. Thank you for joining us today, and we ask that you join us again. I want to say thank you to my beautiful guests, Lynelle and Keisha. And thank you, ladies, for all your contribution, and thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again.